Hi, Jenna.
Well, hi, Shelby.
And welcome back to Miss Willow's Book Club.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! What are we talking about today?
We are talking about Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver.
Yeah! I've still got Jenna's copy.
I know. I love it. I guess I should have grabbed mine. I think mine's on the shelf somewhere.
Your fun special edition.
Yeah, I know. I have the Bookish Box edition. It's
Oh.
very pretty. Check out our Instagram if you want to see some pictures of it. All the artwork is awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of those books where you look at it and it's like, wow, this is so beautiful. You would have no idea. It's a serial killer romance.
I know. It's got some darker themes than you would expect from the hot pink, cute little cartoony cover.
So funny. Spoiler free, what did you rate it?
I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was a fun time, man. I really had a good time with it. I mean, there's some pieces that were maybe a tiny bit predictable or whatever, a little cringy at some parts, but like overall, I got some good laughs out of it, which is exactly what I wanted. So I was a big fan. What about you?
I love that. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Fair.
And something I've actually been noticing about myself is I'm harshening my rating scale.
Oh, yeah.
From reading so many different books, I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm saving the 4s and the 5s for the ones that are like, really give me all of it.
Yes, I've noticed that especially with romanticies. It's like it's really hard for a romantasy to be a 5 for me these days because I've just read so many that like it really has to be top tier for me to give out that type of rating.
100%. And again, like a 3's not bad.
No, it's not. It's perfectly okay. It's like maybe
good.
not going to be the first thing you recommend, but it's just okay.
Can we talk about those trigger warnings?
The accidental cannibalism, that's the only one I specifically remember.
I was literally dying, and I know that it put some people off of actually reading the book.
Yeah.
But the accidental cannibalism was absolutely hilarious.
So funny.
There was skin ornaments. Lobotomized manservant. I was like, oh my god. It's like a whole page of a list of these like trigger warnings. So funny.
I know. I think I'm kind of lucky in that there really aren't any trigger warnings that scare me away from books. I'm pretty easy going with it. Like there's things that I just don't enjoy as much, but there's nothing where I'm like, I won't read the book if this is in it.
Agreed.
So it makes it a little bit easier to grab anything.
I totally agree. Do we have any other spoiler-free thoughts before we begin?
Maybe just that my description of Butcher and Blackbird is almost like a gender flipped Dexter.
Oh, I don't know
that. If you ever watched that show, but he's like a good serial killer, right? He's like a serial killer that kills bad guys. And that's exactly how I feel about the main character, Sloane, in this. And so I think that because when I read this, I was watching Dexter at the same time, it made me like the book more too.
That's perfect.
Because I just had the little soft spot for like, oh, but she's not that bad. She's killing bad people.
Right. It's like for a good cause, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Yeah. That's actually such a great way to put it. I love it. Before we totally get into some spoilers, go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok at Miss Willow's Book Club Pod. And we also have full YouTube videos on our YouTube at Miss Willow's Book Club. So with that, let's get into it. Woohoo! Okay, so what did you think about the two main characters specifically?
I mean, it's funny because even though Rowan is like a serial killer, he gave such golden retriever vibes. He's just like a little cinnamon roll that like will kill whatever. Like he's literally a little bit crazy. But it's somehow still endearing.
That is literally exactly how I said it too. I said like he was the golden retriever and she was the black cat.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It was like the opposite Grumpy Sunshine almost too. Like kind of had that type of trope.
Oh my god.
I thought it was really funny. I loved their dynamic. I don't know.
I did too.
There were so many little one-liners or like little bits of banter that just like cracked me up. Like that sometimes when Rowan was just like so unserious in a moment when it like should be kind of serious. Like I even remember like right at the beginning of the book when they first meet and Sloane is like trapped in the cage of her prey that she did in fact kill, but then like got stuck there in the meantime. And as he's like looking at all the maggots on the ground, he goes, "Oh, so you want to get lunch?"
I know. It's like timing. Oh my god. There was so much imagery that, like, that specific scene, like, you open up the book and it was like, "Oh my god."
It was a lot.
It
It's
was a lot.
unfortunate that I'm making orzo for dinner tonight.
Oh, no! That's so bad. Or it could be perfect.
Yep. You never know.
Perfect timing.
Mhm.
The only gripe that I had, I absolutely adored Rowan. I thought he was so
Mhm.
awesome. And I love that he was just so open with how he felt.
Mhm.
Sloane, sometimes the way she like hid her emotions inside her, I was like, come on. Like
Yeah.
he's so yearning for you.
Mhm. But I think a little bit of that I appreciated though, because they literally are serial killers.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
for as like corny as it could be, I kind of
Yeah.
appreciated there was at least a little bit of her that was like, I don't know that I totally trust a man that also kills other people.
Right?
So it's like, yeah, I kind of like him, but like
Yeah.
the fact that it took years before they actually
Yes.
started becoming like romantic for real,
Mhm.
I thought was kind of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say the time gap, that was like maybe one of the things that I like brought down that star, just
Me
because
too.
I don't know
Me
that I
too.
really felt that time gap that much. Like I know she stated that there was time in between, like a
Mhm.
year in between each of these things, but I don't know. I didn't feel that time
Right.
passing.
No, I feel the exact same way. It was like, well, what's happening within that time? Because you're really
Right.
just jumping to the next time they see each
Yeah.
other. And that's actually one of the first notes that I have in the book. I was like, why did you wait a whole year to start the game?
Right? That I didn't get that at all. I was like, if
Yeah.
you guys are so like had the hots for each other, why would you wait? Like be like,
Yes.
okay, a month or something to like get it
Yeah.
prepped and do some research. Fine. That's
Mhm.
whatever. But I didn't really get why it had to be a year.
Yes.
I don't know.
Exactly. That is literally exactly how I felt too. So, regardless of that, I still felt like it was really fun. Like it
Mhm.
was just one of those like where I was like giggling.
Yeah, see, that's how I felt too. I read it super fast and I just laughed. I think it caught me in the right mood is probably some
Yeah.
of it, but I don't know. Both of them really made me laugh. And
I
there's
know.
like some really sweet, tender moments too, to be fair.
There really were. I have one quote from
Mhm.
Rowan that I was just like absolutely swooning over. It was when he says, I know the darkest parts of you better than anyone, just like you know the darkest parts of me. And despite that, you still want to hang out with me. Like, I
Oh,
know. Isn't
so
that all we
sweet.
want from people?
Mhm.
It was
That's so
so precious.
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, were there any parts of the book that you in particular really liked? Any scenes that you really liked?
So I really liked when they are doing their little game and he gets drugged from the food. I was
Yes.
laughing so hard.
Yes. Oh my god, that was so funny. And just like, yes, girl, that you're the one who was on top of it. You know
Yes.
what's up. And she's like trying to tell him not
She's
to eat the
like, "Don't eat
food.
it." I know. She's like slamming her fork down like
I know.
trying to get his attention.
Oh my god, yeah, that was so funny.
Slumped over like
See, that's what I like the internal monologue first. I just thought it was so funny for both of them,
yeah.
which I think made me like both characters more because I just thought that they were
Right.
funny. Did you expect that? I was so surprised when the lobotomized guy was like not actually lobotomized.
Yes.
I
Me
did
too.
not see that coming at all.
I didn't I mean, literally at all. I was so shocked.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
Same.
"Okay, obviously somebody had walked in and they were, like, threatening him, right?"
Right. But that I didn't expect it to be that person. I don't know who I thought it was gonna be, but not him.
I thought it was gonna be that doctor that they were planning on killing. I figured that he had, like, figured
Oh.
it out or something. But
Mm.
then I was like, "Oh my god." Like, it was good. That
That
was
was
good.
yeah, that was a
That was a
good
good twist.
surprise.
So I've been seeing on TikTok surrounding this book that it has forced people to not want to eat ice cream
Yep.
or soap pasta.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's, like, funny that that's what I'm eating tonight. And that was just
I know.
not intentional, it's just what's left of my HelloFresh
Right.
meals. That's only what I have. It happens to be orzo.
I know. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I didn't think, like, even though those scenes were supposed to be super gross, like, for me, it didn't really matter. Like, with
Mhm.
the ice cream and what was in the ice cream,
Mhm.
like, to me, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's gross," but I wasn't like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be sick gross."
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I think some people can be a little dramatic about how they
Yeah.
talk about it. Like, yeah, it was definitely like, "Ooh," as you're
And it
reading
was like,
it,
"Oh
but I don't
gosh."
know that it changed my behavior for what I'm going to eat or drink.
Same. But I've been seeing people on TikTok being like, I will never eat this again.
Mm-hmm.
I will never look at this the same way. And I'm like,
right.
I'm just sitting here eating my ice cream.
Yeah.
Were there any specific parts of the book that you particularly liked?
I loved the scene when Sloane is in her house and Rowan is like hiding in the bushes and he like drops groceries off at her front door and he's like watching through the window to like and it calls her and like walks her through how to make the meal and they're like cooking together but not together. Oh my God, I loved that scene. I thought it was so cute. And her like little bit of frustration of like, I didn't even know you were there kind of thing was just like that little bit of angst and tension I thought was adorable. And it was like precious to see them do something not killer-y together.
Right. Exactly. I also just absolutely loved that scene. Like I could just picture him like hiding behind a tree, like popping out,
peeking out of the bushes.
He's like, now do this, now do that.
Yeah.
Also, how precious was the name of his restaurant?
Oh my gosh.
3 and Coach.
I know. Oh my gosh, so sweet. Well, and like the fact that he's naming restaurants like after her and has a booth always reserved for her.
Oh my god.
That's a dream. I feel like having like being with a Michelin star chef or whatever, man, that'd be so nice. Just always getting good food at home.
Right? And have somebody like cook for us.
Right.
That would be amazing. I was like, I'm always doing the cooking.
Right? No, it'd be a nice treat. I think I loved everything about the restaurant bit in general. Like the fact that that was his career, like separate from the serial killer part, just felt so unexpected,
Yes.
And that he like took it really seriously, you know what I mean? He wasn't like a flake about it. Like he was really passionate about it in a I don't know, like very artsy way, which was cool.
And it was so wholesome.
It was so wholesome.
And normal.
Right? I don't know.
That's
I will say it felt, I mean, I know that they needed, I don't know, that bit of normalcy to like get to the point of, oh my gosh, there's a problem. But when she like moved in with him and everything's like kind of boring, I don't know. That whole part I was kind of like, meh.
Yeah, I was like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. And I don't know, even like the way that I don't even remember if it's her or him that's like, oh, I don't like you at all anymore. You need to leave. Like that whole like third act breakup bit. I just it felt so unbelievable too. If they had this much of obsession for years leading up to that, like how would you ever believe them in that? You know what I mean?
I was actually thinking the same thing. I think that's why I didn't love the end as much.
Yeah,
like during the middle, I was having so much fun.
Right.
And then at the end when he's like, I don't want to be with you anymore. I don't want to do this. I was like, I'm sorry, you were literally what? Like this doesn't make sense. And then she believed it so easily.
That's what I'm saying. That was my least favorite part.
Me too.
It felt, I mean, I know there has to be some like problem they have to overcome, for an exciting story arc, but it was by far my least favorite part of the book.
Me too.
I liked laughing along the way. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. What would you rate the spice in this book? Like the quality.
It's been a bit since I read it, so I don't really remember. I remember there being piercings, which I was like, okay, can't ignore that.
I had to look it up because I was like, what is this? And then I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm always too scared to Google things like that. So I'm like, if I don't know, I don't think I want to know.
It brings me to another series where I Googled, what's that balloon from the Omegaverse?
Nodding.
Yes, that's what it was.
See, it also reminds me of Zodiac Academy and a particular character that has multiple piercings going up a specific member. Yikes.
Just Google
yeah. Luckily, I think I figured out through comments from other people what it was, so I didn't actually have to see a picture of it.
Good.
But it's a little much for me.
Just shield your eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't even know what I would put on it. What about you? What did you rate the spice in it?
I expected there to be more spice, but I actually think the quality of it was really good. Like it was really they're in these really harsh environments and then they come together and it was actually it was rough and kinky and all this stuff, but it was so much love involved in it, which was kind of unexpected.
Like more than you would have expected.
Yeah.
Right? It was sweeter. Like overall, it was a lot sweeter of a story than it was a dark story in my mind.
Right.
If
and
you
I feel like
exclude
because
the
of
murder.
Rowan. Yeah. Right? Oh my God. The fact that it's literally a serial killer romance. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did really like it. I don't know. I think because I've been reading so much like heavy fantasy that has like so much that goes into it. Like
it
it's
was
just
simpler.
Yeah, which sometimes is needed.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think it made you like them any less as characters, or like made them less sympathetic to their issues, the fact that they were both murderers?
Ooh. Probably not the fact that they were both murderers, but maybe because of the fact that the story was much simpler, I think I just had less of an insight into the characters. But yeah, surprisingly, I did not think any different because they were murderers.
Right.
But what about you?
I felt the same way. I think I expected to feel a type of way about them because, again, I was watching Dexter at the same time.
Yeah.
And I always kind of want to shuck him. I'm like, what are you doing right now, dude?
Yes.
Right. But I, for whatever reason, never felt that way for them. Like it felt more justified for whatever reason.
Yes.
You know?
I felt the same way.
Even though like she's like Sloane is really casual about it too. Like she's sitting there like phone in the ear as she's like chopping up some guy, and it's like, oh hush. She's like talking on the phone to her friend.
I was like, I'm sorry, what? And the fact that their friends and family all know.
All know. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
That was so crazy to me. I loved that she had like her specific signatures that she put into every murder.
Yes. What was she? The Orb Weaver? Isn't that what her thing was?
Yep, the Orb Weaver.
I thought that was so creative that she was like laying this whole map for the police to find, even if they were not smart enough to get there. And then her frustration over them not getting it was hilarious to me.
Me too. And I loved that, like, it's like she's trying to get caught.
Right. That's what it felt like.
It did. And then, like, towards the end, while she's like trying to like up her game and she puts colors into it and it's like a topography. So cool.
Right. But like no one else is gonna get that.
No, of course not. But it's really funny. I loved it.
It was kind of cute, the moment of insecurity she has though when Rowan is seeing her like at the end of setting it all up and she's like, yes, yeah, that's what I do.
Right? And he's like, wow, I'm mesmerized.
You're amazing.
You're amazing. I was laughing so hard. So I went dancing last week and one of my friends is actually seeing a chef.
Oh, nice.
And I had just finished this book. And so he's like, oh yeah. We're like, what do you do? What do you do for work? And he's like, oh, I'm a chef. And I'm like, oh. And he works at like a 5-star Michelin like restaurant. And I was like, that is hilarious. And I'm like, so do you also kill people on the side? And he goes, I'm sorry, what?
It's like, where did that come from?
I know. And only one friend in our group had read it. She was like, oh my God. It's like, I just read it. I had to laugh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is super funny.
Right.
Oh, what else?
Awesome.
What did you think of their very first game when they first meet up? And it's like the one, because I think that's the one where there's like the guy in the wall and when Rowan kills on the driveway, right? Like, what did you think of their first game and their dynamic during that?
Again, I kind of got a little irritated with Sloane when he was like getting all emotional. He's like, don't hurt my girl. And then she was going to like bolt. I was like, ooh, like you guys literally said you were going to do this together. Like, why are you now going to bolt and run? Like, I didn't love that. You knew he was a serial killer. The fact that they were also like, they were both kind of watching her in her room. I was like, oh, I'm getting secondary, like, ick.
Oh, I thought that was super funny. Well, just because she like knew what was going on, right?
Right.
And so that's why I thought it was so funny, because there were multiple points where she's like, God damn it, you're ruining my plan. Like, I had a plan here. And you're messing it up.
Trying to protect you.
Right. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I did too. And the fact that he just went so like crazy after too, I was like, ooh, oh yeah, they are serial killers though.
I feel like that was the reminder that we needed to have, that it's not like he's not just goofy, he actually is a little bit psychotic.
Yes, exactly. Because the book did such a good job of just portraying him as like a normal human. Like I feel like we got more insight to Sloane and how crazy she can be, but like he just seemed like a fun little golden retriever.
Kind of, yeah, but like he seemed more like genuinely had something wrong with his brain, kind of crazy. So that's why it's funny, because his monologue, like his internal monologue, makes it sound like he's not crazy.
Yeah.
Because obviously he doesn't think he's crazy.
Right.
But yeah, it is like funny. Then you see some of those things and you're like, huh.
Like, oh yeah.
Okay, honey.
Oh yeah.
You could do some therapy.
Right? Oh my God. At the end, when the lobotomized guy like comes back and he's like, guess what? I'm alive.
I'm alive. I'm dead. I'm alive.
I'm awake. I can actually talk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what went through my head too. But when he was like mandolining like his skin, that part was where I was like, oh God.
Yes. I was definitely like, heebie-jeebies all over that bit.
Yeah. I think that might have been the only part where I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was a little much. That was quite graphic during that scene, for sure.
Very. What did you think about her eye plucking?
I love how she kept trying to. What was it? She's like, I'm not gouging. I'm plucking delicately like a lady.
I know. I was like, ew.
I thought it was so funny that she kept trying to justify it as like, it's not gouging.
I know.
It wasn't gouged.
It's more delicate, okay.
Right? Like she took so much pride in the fact that she could like scoop them out cleanly. I'm like,
I know.
Good for you, honey.
Good job. So proud of you. I also had to laugh too because she worked in clinical trials.
Oh my God, I kind of forgot what her actual career was, to be honest.
I mean, the only reason that I remembered it so well was because that's also what I do. Yeah. And so when she's talking about like, and it was just like moments here and there, she was like, oh, I'm going to like a drug dinner with a doctor. I'm like, wait, I'm literally going to a drug doctor? It was so funny.
Oh my gosh, funny.
It. Oh gosh. So what did you think that when she first came out to his restaurant and then she left without basically saying anything? How did you think during that?
I mean, I thought it was really stupid. So like, you came all the way out here and got cold feet or whatever. But I will say I loved his reaction enough of like how could you possibly have let her leave? And like, he's like, so, whatever about it, that it almost made it worth it just because I thought his reaction was adorable.
Yeah.
But that was one of those moments where you really want to shake Sloane. You're like, okay, that's a little bit too much of protecting your heart. Like, just chill out. You've already murdered people together. I mean, you're in it for the long haul.
I know. That was exactly what I was doing too. I was like shaking her in my mind, like, girl, you flew all the way out here. You sat in this booth for hours. You ate the food.
Right.
Like, you've now been welcomed by like lots of other people. Like, come on. Like, you're not even going to stay and say hi. Like, the whole reason. That was the whole reason.
Right. I love the brothers dynamic with Rowan, though. I thought was so cute, especially sometimes then at the restaurant, right? Because they were there sometimes too.
Yeah.
And just because that dynamic was cute, it did make me want to read. Was it Leather and Lark? Is that the second one? Yeah, I kind of am curious to read that one now.
Okay, so am I. And I was actually going to ask you about that too. Since this one is a serial killer romance, what do you think that one's going to be?
I have no idea. I have literally no idea what to expect from it. But I read it physically. I didn't listen to it, but I heard that the audio for it is super good. And so I'm assuming that Leather and Lark is like the same narrators, I would hope. And it is on Spotify. So I think that I might listen to that when my credits re-up.
I know mine don't re-up for another like week or two.
Oh, mine don't for like 3 weeks. I'm out cold right now.
Because you have been listening to audiobooks.
Who am I? I don't even know.
I love it. That's so fun. Yeah. I would rather listen to something like this on audio than I would like a heavy fantasy or something.
Yes. I totally agree. And that's mostly what I think I've learned about myself for audio is I like something not serious.
Right.
Something that you can just kind of vibe along with is good for audio for me.
This is another one of those though, where like if I'm listening to it in the car and I stop at a red light, I'm like,
turn it down. Definitely. It's like, Credence blaring on the plane? Nope, not for me.
I know, because I just finished Priest.
Oh, Did you? What did you think?
I gave it a 3 again. I mean, it's not bad, not, like I still enjoyed it, but there was the moments where I'd be like cleaning my kitchen and I'm like, oh, okay.
I think that this book is a lot like that too.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I loved that, like in this book, it was so nonchalant. Like everything was just like nonchalant. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go murder people. Oh yeah, we're just gonna do this. Like,
yep.
So lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
I am very curious. It is. I'm very curious to see what the next one's going to be like because I think I will read it. I think after we've talked about it, I'm like more inclined to go read the second one.
Oh, good. Oh, I love that. Usually I feel like it's the other way around. Like you convinced me that a book isn't as bad as I thought it was. So it's kind of fun to have it be the opposite.
Right? I know. I like it. Well, because I think as we were saying, like you kind of have to be in a certain mood for it. I need to be in a mood where I don't want to read like the heavy fantasy, like diving into the world. But if I more want to read like a lighthearted, even though it's not really lighthearted, like
a funny book.
Yeah. It did surprise me though, I'll say that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to read something that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. And I also was cracking up at the special editions too, because they're just so pretty for such a
so pretty.
They're so pretty. So pretty.
I love it. That's one of my favorite special editions I have. I think it's so cute. And I love both sides of the dust jacket. So I feel like I just like randomly will flip it to the other side.
Oh, I love that.
It's a cute one for sure.
Just so intricate.
I like the original cover too, though.
It is really pretty. I know. It's got cute. Like a rom-com-y feel. Yeah, I like it. What did you call it earlier? Was it what kind of a rom-com?
A dark rom-com?
A dark rom-com. I thought it was something else, but I mean that totally works.
I don't remember. But I don't even know the stuff that comes out of my own mouth, so.
Hey, we're professional yappers, okay?
That's right.
Professionals.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's see, was there anything else?
It's really all I got. It was a short book. Not too much to say.
Yeah. It wasn't hard. It wasn't heavy. Easy read.
Yeah.
So who would you recommend this book to then?
Ooh. Yeah, think about that one for a second.
I know.
I'd recommend Butcher and Blackbird to someone who doesn't have any trigger warnings, wants to laugh and have a good time, and isn't looking for something that's like literary perfection.
Yeah,
that's just there for the vibes.
I love that.
That's who I think this is the right market for.
Yep, I totally agree with that. I think I would probably also lump in somebody who kind of wants to get into a darker fantasy, but doesn't want to lead into like Haunting Adeline or like Credence or something.
Or like I think if you have read Lights Out by, was it Nerissa something? I'm not thinking of what her last name is right now.
Yeah.
But if you've read Lights Out and you enjoyed it, I think you would like Butcher and Blackbird.
Have you read Lights Out?
Yeah.
Oh!
Because I think it's the same thing where it's kind of like a darker romance, sort of, but it's like funnier and like more lighthearted than you would expect it to be for being a dark romance.
Ooh.
So I think that these two books have like very similar energy.
Good to know. Yeah. I've been seeing Lights Out all over my TikTok.
The audio's good.
Is it?
It's really good.
Okay. That'll be the next one I download. Okay. I already took the priest recommendation. So
the guy has like a voice modulator for part of it.
Oh, yeah, you were saying
died.
And the author is Nevessa Allen.
Thank you. Yep. I was close.
Okay, so I know what I'm downloading next. I've actually heard people talking about that one too. So knowing it's like Butcher and Blackbird, I'm more likely to pick it up.
Nice.
Well, that's super exciting.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Same here. I really don't have anything else either. Awesome. Well, thank you guys all for coming and listening to us talking about Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. And we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.